Welcome back to our channel, guys. Today we're gonna have a look at the brand new facelifted G30 M550i, which comes with a staggering 530 horsepower from a 4-liter V8.
Guys, as always, we're gonna measure the car in stock on our dyno, develop the tuning product for it, measure that as well, and of course we're going on the Autobahn to see how the car actually behaves 100 to 200. So I would say, let's go.
Since BMW introduced the M badge for their sporty models below the actual M cars, you regularly hear people complain about the fact that non-M cars shouldn't have the sacred M letter in their badge. The facelifted M550i is one more of those models, and you might think, why not simply call it 550i as it has been done with the F10 model? However, if you go all the way back to the E28 model, which was the second generation sporting the 5 Series badge at all, you will notice that there was an M535i with 215 horsepower slotted right below the M5. What I'm trying to say here is, it's not exactly a new thing which BMW is doing here. Since then, BMW had some kind of on-off relationship with the M letter Light, but for all subsequent generations they were offering a performance variant below the M5, which was slightly less powerful than the previous generation's M5, because you know, you have to respect one's elders, I guess? With the new M550i, BMW is basically repeating exactly the same thing again, which you can clearly tell when comparing its power numbers to the F10 generation's M5. However, with modern turbocharged engines reaching ridiculous power numbers these days, it's still hard to grasp that some normal 5 Series in 2020 comes with better performance than the legendary E60 V10 M5 with its F1 derived engine. So let's take the stock M550i for a ride and see how it performs.
Folks, another week, another V8. As you might saw in our last video, we had AMG GT 4-door coupe. Now we're sitting in an M550i X-Drive version, so 4-wheel drive basically.
I'm pretty curious how this will perform, because obviously, as a lot of BMW fanboys are gonna say, it's not a real M. And yeah, it's not. That's why there is an M5. However, this comes with 530 horsepower in stock, and for me that's kind of crazy. I mean, if you look back a few years ago, this was above M5 performance level. So let's see how this thing goes in stock.
It's a rear-wheel driven car with a little bit more traction on the front axle, and that is what it makes actually kind of special. So most of the power is transferred to the rear axle all the time, which you can feel on the street definitely.
Yeah, like it's not slow at all in stock. It's pretty impressive. And if you think about the fact that this is just the fastest 5 Series below the actual M5, it's quite a good car you get there.
BMW V8, just a lovely engine. Car handles really good. What I can say, or I'm pretty sure already about that the car has, or the engine has a lot of potential left, definitely.
You also can feel pretty good that this is basically the same engine base as the M5 has. It's a little bit down-tuned, of course, but it's just a huge V8 with a lot of torque, which still has a pretty good high RPM performance. And driving it in corners, let's see. Yeah, this is where you actually notice that it's not an M. It's precise and it drives good, but it's not as sharp as an M or a Mercedes AMG would be. You just notice that they wanted to make sure that even in Sport Plus mode, which I'm driving right now, they wanted to keep the car a little bit more comfortable and daily usable, and it's still great, but it's not like racetrack performance in corners, you just have to say.
So I would say let's start the development and see how much power we can squeeze out of that V8. Welcome to our dyno with the facelifted 5 Series. Here we are talking about the V8 50i. Engine is called N63, is known since a couple of years already, has been modified since then a couple of times to meet the latest emission standards and also to produce a little bit more horsepower. Now we are talking about 530 horsepower in stock claimed by BMW and 750 Newton meters of torque. Regarding the installation of our product, pretty simple, as both sensors are pretty much on top, so it takes roughly around 10 to 20 minutes to install. So I would say let's check out how much power the car actually put down in stock. So as you can see on the chart, we measured the car in stock now with a 533 horsepower, which is really close to the claimed figures by BMW, and 770 Newton meters of torque. Official figure again, 750 Newton meters. So yeah, that's basically it from the stock measurement. I would say let's see how much power we got out of the car after we developed the tuning product for it. After several days of development, we ended up at 593 horsepower and 874 Newton meters of torque. That is an awesome improvement over stock. As mentioned in the video already, the engine got some huge potential left, so we are looking basically at 100 Newton meters more compared to the stock measurement, right? Gain all over the RPM range. As always, orange is torque, thick line is tuned, thin lines are stock, red is engine horsepower, blue is real horsepower, green is drag, so power loss, which is getting measured after each run. As you can see, it's basically a lot more all over the RPM range. Here the difference comes basically from the guy who drove on a dyno. He accelerated there a little bit earlier than on the tuned version, but it's nothing to do with the tune or something else. It's just like he accelerated a little bit earlier in the run compared to the tuned version. So I would say we should head to the Autobahn now with that result and check out actually by how much we can drop the 100 to 200 time.
Alright guys, back on the road in the tuned M550i with RaceChip GTS Black, now with almost 600 horsepower. Let's see how it goes compared to stock.
So driving the M550i with the tune now, so we're looking at close to 600 horsepower. You can immediately feel the difference. Car pulls a lot stronger, it's a lot more aggressive, but still you can handle it quite well.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, there's a pretty simple comparison, because now this, from my standpoint, performs like a stock F10 M5. You can which makes kind of sense, because yeah, BMW always claimed the F10 M5 has 560 horsepower. But basically everyone we measured has 580 or more, probably even 600 horsepower, so they are pretty much on the same performance level. And this is what this feels.
As mentioned during when we drove the car in stock, there is just so much potential left in the V8. It's really impressive. Car is so much more fun to drive now. It's a must to tune that V8, at least in my opinion. There's so much potential left in that engine.
If you think about it, this is kind of staggering, because it's just one generation ago and now you can buy a non-M550i and you get performance level of a previous generation M5, which is really impressive.
Yeah, looking definitely forward what Fabi says about it, but the difference between stock and tuned is just day and night.
If you're in the market for one of those cars and you want a really sporty one, my suggestion would be get a software tune, build a suspension in it, because as I told you earlier, the suspension falls off compared to a real M, and then you have a really impressive performance car, which is also great as a daily driver.
So really looking forward also to the 100 to 200 measurements to see by how much we can drop the time. So I would say let's go to the Autobahn and see how fast we are 100 to 200.
So where does the M550i place itself on our 100 to 200 top list? With its stock time of 8.8 seconds, it's a little bit slower than the C7 Audi RS6 or the current E60 S AMG. But at the same time, it's slightly faster than a stock Lamborghini Urus and a Panamera Turbo. Imagine the face of that Urus driver behind you on the Autobahn for a second when you accelerate in your 5 Series and he can catch up in his 300k super SUV. Our RaceChip GTS Black setup helps the M550i to be more than a second faster than stock, which results in a time of 7.6 seconds. With this performance, it's faster than the stock AMG GT4, which we've tested in our last episode, in a non-M BMW 5 Series. It's really hard to rate a car like that without pissing off anyone. I mean, I get it. An M5 is not just about straight line performance, but also about cornering, sound, emotions, and so on. And I think we can all agree that the M5 does all of those things way better than the 50i. If you have the additional money to spend, of course. But does that mean that the M550i does not deserve its baby M badge? In my humble opinion, a 590 horsepower business saloon which accelerates on a level of super SUVs and top tier AMG models can wear as many M badges as it wants to do. Well done BMW, well done. As always, thank you guys very much for watching. Post your opinion about the M550i in the comments below this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next episode. Cheers and see you in a few weeks.